This is Pawprint, an animal rescue community, episode 161. I'm Nancy Rhee.
And I'm Harold Rhee.
Today's talented guest is Sophie Gamand.
I finally put a face on what is a pit bull. And it was weird. I realized at the moment that I had no idea what a pit bull was. And I think actually most people don't know what a pit bull is. It's become a symbol. I call it the mythological creature.
We're very excited to have Sophie Gamand on the show today. She was a previous guest, and she's the artist behind Pit Bull Flower Power. You've most likely seen some of her photos that have just gone viral over the past few years. And now she's done something amazing, started a Kickstarter campaign to self-publish her own book. It's gone extremely well, as we'll discuss. Already over $120,000 raised. She's working hard to release her book in October of 2018. We are super excited to catch up with Sophie Gamand. If you'd like to learn more about Sophie and her Kickstarter campaign, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/161.
I'm finally working on the coffee table book for this project. And it's been a long time in the making, so I'm super excited. I just launched a few days ago a Kickstarter campaign to fund the whole project. So it's going really well, and I'm excited. It looks like the book is happening.
Yeah, it's going more than just really well. Why don't you tell us, it's been about 7 days, maybe not even a 7 days. Yeah, but where are you at right now?
Yeah, when did I launch? Just not even 7. No, it's been less than a week.
I know, right? I want to say you launched on a Sunday maybe, or maybe a Monday? I can't even remember.
I did a soft launch on Monday, and I officially launched it on social media on Tuesday.
Okay, and we're talking on a Saturday, so it's only really maybe 5 to 6 days, right?
Yeah, it's incredible. And I think last time I checked, we're at 170% of the goal. So that means we've exceeded the goal.
You had a goal initially of $55,000. How many days into it did you achieve your goal?
It was 2 days.
Oh my God.
Which is mind blowing. I was petrified about the whole experience, I have to tell you. I'm used to fundraise for other organizations and to help dogs in need and shelters. I've fundraised before, but this was the first time I was raising funds for my own project. And it was the most nerve-wracking, scary experience I've had in a while. And, I felt like I should have prepared more. But at the same time, I've been preparing for a year. So finally, when it hit my social media, I was just holding my breath and watching numbers, change. So after 2 days, I was like, I can breathe, because at least now I know the book is happening. It's funded, so it's a given. We're doing the book, so now that's great.
Hey.
Any extra money that we're raising now is going to allow me to print more books, organize some book signing and exhibits, just furthering the reach of Pit Bull Flower Power, and also put this book out in the world a little bit more. So I'm super excited.
Hey, let us know when you come to the San Francisco Bay Area. We'd love to spread the word. I'm hoping we could fill an auditorium for you or something. I would hope.
Listen, I haven't been there yet. And my goal in my mind is to visit every state of the US and photograph at a shelter in every state of the country.
Hey,
I need to add.
That's right. I'll take a couple days off and I'll drive you all over the Bay Area.
Right?
Yeah.
You'll hook me up. Awesome.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a date.
I'll be your free Uber. So.
Yeah, we can do a book signing, after the book comes out, which should be October 2018. I'll put you guys on the map for the book signing too. Sure. That's going to be fun.
Hey, take your time. You're going to be busy. You're going to be very, very busy. So. Okay. So as I'm looking at the Kickstarter right now, you're at $87,142. As you said, far surpassing your goal of $55,000. Maybe just, one, for folks who haven't met Sophie before, we actually had her on the show previously. You can always check out episode 74. But why don't you just catch us up? You had been doing Pit Bull Flower Power for maybe several years, and you get the itch to now, hey, you know what? I'm at the time where now I want to talk to publishers. I want to think about actually creating something more than just a series. What was your experience like from that point leading up to today?
Yeah, I'm a big book lover. I love books. I used to publish a print magazine back in France. I love, the print industry. And so books were always a big dream of mine. I'm super lucky that I've been published before by a really large mainstream publisher for my first project, Wet Dog. And for Flower Power, because it was going so strong and so well on social media, I mean, we're talking about some videos about my work that were viewed over 15 million times on Facebook. We're talking about a project that has gotten a lot of dogs adopted and people talk about it. A lot of people in the rescue community know this project. It's huge. It's very popular. So I thought, easy peasy, I'm just going to contact all the publishers that I've been in touch with over the years and just watch them fight for the project, basically. I was really expecting this to be this amazing, exciting moment. And I was literally turned down by every single one of them. And I have an amazing agent and he did all he could do. And each time it was a reason or another, it seems nobody really believed in the project as a book, which to me is mind blowing. And the reason why I wanted to make a book is, the images have been very popular on social media, sure, but I wanted to compile them into one object. I wanted to elevate the project. I think once a project is printed in a book, there's something there that's dignified and beautiful and you can keep it forever. And the most important for me was also to compile the stories of these dogs. And that's almost, for me, the most important part of this book. There's going to be probably over 100 photographs in the book, but I'm also working on a lot of stories of these dogs, my models, who, I photographed in shelters around the country, and they overcame, tragic stories and horrible pasts. And then I followed them all the way to adoption. And so I'm able to catch up with adopters and interview people that have been involved in all these stories. And for me, that's really where the book gets interesting and more interesting than just, flipping through images on social media. When you turn these pages and you read the stories, it's going to be a very different experience. And I'm excited about that part, really.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what were some of the self-doubts, some of the fears that you had. And the only reason why I mention that is that for folks who follow you, every once in a while, you do have these very personal, almost confessional posts about your own journey.
I'm a believer. Some people call me the truth teller. I'm a believer in being very honest and open about my personal process. I'm sure my husband is like, oh, a little too much, because I share a lot and I'm constantly crippled by self-doubt. And, I've had kind of a chronic depression my entire life, as far as I can remember. And I think a lot of creative people, have that. And so for me, being honest in these moments is life-saving. And a lot of times, not necessarily because I need to hear people, tell me, oh, we love you, It's more than that. Yeah, there's a moment where you have to transcend these states. And I think using art and using my platform to reach through these screens and connect to people at a deeper level has been an amazing and very important part of my journey. And when I share that kind of post, the responses I get are amazing in the sense that a lot of people message me privately to thank me and say, oh my God, I don't feel alone anymore. Thank you so much for sharing this. And I think that's the beauty of social media, that we can be there for each other in so many ways, inspiring ways, and also support each other in, many, many different ways. So yeah, it's important. I don't want to be just, a brand, or I don't want to constantly hide behind my work. I think, my social media is also who I am as a person. And it's important to tap into that as well, and show the human being behind the images.
Yeah. If there is an artist who's listening to this and he or she is struggling with, finding their voice, what would you say to them? What would be your lesson for them?
That's actually something I'm really working on now, very specifically, because as an artist, my self-doubt always comes in the shape of you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, your message is not loud or important enough. Look at all these other amazing artists that are doing these crazy exhibits around the world and flying to all these countries and having their work shown everywhere and being published in amazing books. And so very quickly I feel small and irrelevant. And I feel like, why should I use my voice when it seems like it's not as important as these other artists? And I think as artists, as creatives in general, we always compare ourselves to others. And lately I've, started realizing and harnessing the idea that I'm enough. And the little space I've filled here in the world is enough, and it's mine, and it's unique, and it's my own voice, and it's fine, and everything's going to be fine. And, maybe some other artists are more talented or do more than me or have a more glamorous life than me, but maybe, they don't help dogs get adopted. They don't connect to people on certain subjects that I connect, with people. So I think all of us have to realize in life that our place and what we do and our voice matters, and it's important. However, how small or big your voice is, it matters and it's important, and you need to use it and you need to celebrate it and own it. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do now, and really embrace this part of my journey.
Right. We're talking to Sophie Gamand, publisher or about to publish her own photography called Pitbull Flower Power. When you go to her Kickstarter, which she will have up for several more weeks, you can buy a book. Actually, her most popular pledge is purchasing a signed copy. You originally had 300 copies basically set aside for autographs, but you blew through that easily. You're already at 420 people. I would imagine that number might even go up from there.
Well, yeah, even more, because I created those dual packages that will both be signed. So I'm looking at, almost 500 copies by now, I think, maybe even more.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
It's funny because, the team. So I gathered an amazing team, thanks to the help of Lantern Publishing, who is a publisher here based in Brooklyn. And they work with a lot of artists that have animal causes. So I'm not doing this alone. So then they're basically providing me with the structure and the help with the logistics of bringing this book to life. And they helped me gather this amazing team of editor and designer. So this book is going to be very, very professionally done. And they were like, just maybe offer a couple of 100 signed copies, because that's what they used to, I guess, with their artists that they usually help and publish. And I thought, that's a very reasonable number. Let's do this. And people keep asking me to add more and more and more signed copies. And it's becoming, the most popular item of the Kickstarter.
I know.
And so we've actually been discussing the logistics of this. Like, technically, how do we do this? I have to be sitting on a table with piles and piles of books and a Sharpie in my hand and just, signed through piles of books. And it's actually a little trickier than you would imagine.
I would imagine.
Because we can't just carry, hundreds of books around the country for me to sign. It's just it's funny. All these little things that you realize when you launch into an adventure like this. You can be as prepared as you want and as prepared as you think you are. You're always going to bump into these surprises. So this is one of them where I have to decide, okay, do I just go for it? And maybe at the end, I'll have to sign 1,000 copies of the book. I'll probably have to sleep over at the printer to make sure I can sign everything. It's fun. It's really fun.
It sounds so much fun. And to me, it's such a great blessing that more people want signed copies than the unsigned copies. It really tells me that people really want that personal connection to you too, right?
It's interesting, and I guess it's the whole social media approach to life. I guess, I don't know if I'm the best person to talk about this because it's me, Sophie, but I do feel like people connect with me beyond the work that I do. And that is something that I realize whenever I do a project like this, that's a little more personal, or a fundraiser for a dog that's very special to me, like Frida, the paralyzed pit bull that I helped rescued from Mexico recently, whenever it's a personal project like this and the personal stakes are high for me, my social media community just, pulls through and lifts me up. And it's kind of amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. I've been a very lonely person my entire life. I've been avoiding social interactions because I felt animals were just easier. Humans are difficult, complicated. And now through my work and through the work I do with shelter dogs and animals, I'm able to connect to all these human beings in ways that are almost spiritual. It's an incredible journey. It's hard to put words on this, but it seems people really connect to me and what I'm trying to do and say. Yeah. So that's a big responsibility and a really big honor.
Yeah. Why did this book have to be Pitbull Flower Power? Why couldn't it be Poodle Flower Power or German Shepherd Flower Power or, any other either type or mix of dog?
Well, listen, that's what the publishers, that were interested in the project wanted, right? They definitely, I heard that before. Why don't you just do poodles and flower powers and Shiba Inus, and then you can make a lot of money and be a huge commercial success. For me, from the beginning, this project was always about challenging the way we see pit bulls, in particular the pit bulls that are in shelters. And I've had a lot of opportunities presented to me with a lot of money attached to it, of companies saying, let's do this. Let's do, Boston Terriers and Chihuahuas and all the popular breeds, the pugs. Everybody wants to do pugs in flower crowns. And I've resisted because I think the message of Pitbull Flower Power is so important. It goes beyond me. It goes beyond my needs, my financial needs. It goes beyond everything I am. I almost feel like Pitbull Flower Power was gifted to me by some kind of universal God or whatever you believe in. And it's magical. Mm-hmm. And I'm just a messenger here. And I feel like my job is to carry this project as far as I can and tell the stories of all these dogs and try and fix what we've done to these dogs. And I think by trying to fix this, it's humanity I'm poking at. And I'm saying, look, we can challenge ourselves here in the way we interact with pit bulls, in the way we interact with animals in general and the world around us and each other. There is more here than just a cute dog wearing a cute flower crown. And for me, the message will always be more important than anything else. Yeah.
What was your first interaction that you can recall, either at a shelter or with a pit bull?
I mean, I think my first taste of what is a pit bull was in France growing up. I remember hearing about this type of dogs. And I remember people around me say, you can never trust these dogs. You can't have a dog like this if you have kids. And my sister, as a matter of fact, got a bull terrier when she was pregnant or her firstborn was just arrived. And my parents were devastated. They thought it was a big mistake, that she was jeopardizing the safety of her baby. And it was interesting. Back then I had little exposure to these dogs. So obviously I thought, oh, wow, they must be right because they're parents. They know. When I moved to the US in 2010 is when I finally put a face on what is a pit bull. And it was weird. I realized at the moment that I had no idea what a pit bull was. And I think actually most people don't know what a pit bull is. It's become a symbol. I call it the mythological creature. It's a dog that very few people are able to describe physically. It's a dog that we just know we're supposed to be afraid of. And it's something I'm fascinated by. It really tells a lot about the kind of society and the kind of human beings we are. And, when you go to shelters and you ask shelter staff, how adopters deal with pit bulls, they will all tell you. Adopters will come in and say, we're open to anything, any type of dog. Oh, except pit bulls, of course. That's always the first things that people say. And sometimes I've actually had this amazing story, and I hope I didn't tell you that story last time we spoke. But it's amazing. This shelter staff was explaining to me that one day this woman came with her daughter and said, we want to adopt a dog. We're open to anything but a pit bull. And then they described the personality of the dog that they were looking for. And the shelter staff said, "Oh, I have the perfect dog for you. Hold on." She went in the bag, brought back a dog. It was love at first sight, connection with the daughter, the mother. Everybody was in love, perfect. And the shelter staff said, "Well, she's perfect for you, but unfortunately, I'm sorry, she's a pit bull, so that's not what you want, right?"
That's right.
And the mom was like, "What? She's a pit bull? Are you kidding me?" And she had no idea. And I think that's the problem. That's the problem we have right now, is we've created this mythological creature that's going to come at night and steal your babies in the night. And we've created this narrative around these dogs, and we've lost sight of the truth, the facts, the behavioral science, the genetic science behind all of this.
Love that. Thank you so much for saying that. And of course, a lot of other folks have mentioned that, if you take, just visual identification of dogs, people just don't realize that what a dog looks like can often have so little to do with genetics that really this whole idea of what a pit bull is, people are always shocked to find that what they visual identify maybe as a pit bull really is nothing even close to that. So
yeah, and listen, I meet people all the time in my line of work that are pit bull advocates, or at least completely comfortable with the idea of pit bulls, and they'll be telling me, "Oh, my dog is a pit bull," and I look at the dog, I'm like, nope, and I can see the dog looks more like a boxer mix or a lab. And to me, it doesn't have any of the physical characteristic you would put, for the bully breeds.
Yeah.
But I don't want to, I'm heartbroken. I don't want to break the whole idea they have about their dogs. And I think it's almost funny that now we have the opposite effect.
Yes.
Where a lot of people, want to believe they have a pit bull. And
Right.
then you look at their dog and you're like, not really, but hey, whatever makes you happy. So there's a reverse effect here that it is very ironic. But yeah, the genetics of dogs are very different than what people expect. And very, very little of the DNA actually results in a physical appearance.
Yeah.
And that's something that humans have a hard time understanding because we are visual people. We process the world through our eyes and our sight. And so it's hard for us to say, okay, this dog looks like this. It should behave a certain way.
Right.
That's what our brain is telling us. And it's not true.
Any recent experiences or any stories that you'd like to share about any of the dogs that you've photographed?
Oh man, I have so many stories. I mean, it's interesting because now, I'm diving into these stories deeper for my book. I decided to have, about probably 40 stories in the book. And so I decided to reach out to the shelters or the rescues that were involved in the rescue to collect as much information as I could. And then I got in touch with a lot of adopters to get their thoughts on their dogs. And what I'm discovering is I'm uncovering so many details about these stories that I was not aware of. Or by talking to an adopter, you realize the different approaches that people may have with dog ownership, dog training, the life that you thought you knew what kind of life that dog had. And then when you talk to the adopter, you realize it's something entirely different. It's so fascinating to me. I'm learning a lot working on that, on these stories. Amongst all these 40 stories that I'm working on, there's going to be one in particular that I really want to dive into as much as I can. And that's the story of Frida. It's actually named Frida after Frida Kahlo. So that's kind of funny because she was the queen of flower crowns, obviously. So Frida is a paralyzed pit bull that I helped bring from Mexico to New York. And I fostered her here. And it's something I've never done before because usually I follow rescues and I help them and I support them, but I don't get involved in the actual rescue part. I mean, I help, but I don't transport dogs or, bring them myself. I consider myself more a witness and a storyteller and a little less of an actor in the rescue. So this time I was in Mexico for a family vacation. So of course I had to reach out to a local rescue and see if I could help. And I met Mateo, who runs a small rescue in the middle of the jungle. And he had a very, very small network of people. And he's doing painting. He paints pet portraits to actually fund his rescue and to feed the dogs that he takes care of. And he takes a lot of really difficult medical cases and dogs that are, paralyzed or missing legs. He's taking very expensive, difficult cases. And so by pure chance, we connected, and I went to see him at his rescue, and I met his dogs. And there was Frida, and he had to put a mattress outside in the jungle for her, and she was on that mattress. And there was something about her that was so special. Her eyes, her soul, there was something pulled me so in such a powerful way. I had to do something. And so I suggested that we bring her to New York maybe. And so we did, and I fostered her. I'm about to announce her adoption, but she was adopted actually a couple of weeks ago, which I haven't made official yet. Yeah, so she traveled all the way to Ohio and to this amazing family. While she was in New York, I got her a wheelchair, and the whole thing was just an amazing journey. I learned so much, and Frida was amazing. As I'm writing her story, I'm trying to talk to all the people that were involved in her case, and I realized more people were actually involved than I thought. And everybody has a slightly different version of the fact. And, some people say her previous owner was a very violent man that would beat her up, and he probably broke her legs, her spine. Other people say, no, he loved her very much, and he cared for her, and he tried, but he just couldn't take care of her. He doesn't know what happened to her spine. And I'm getting all these different versions of the story. And it's making me reflect a lot about the rescue community and the stories that are being put out there and the stories we tell ourselves and how we view the world. Because I think the truth is a little bit of all these versions are truthful. And it's just about how you look at things. And in the book, there's going to be a couple of stories where I actually was able to get in touch with the people who had surrendered their animals. And I was able to get their version of the story. Why did they have to surrender their dog to the shelter? And how did it feel for them? And it's so enriching. It's so amazing. And I feel like these stories are not told enough in the rescue community. And it's important to tell them. We can't continue to pretend that everybody that surrenders an animal is evil. We can't continue to pretend that everybody that, lives in a poor, low-income neighborhood and ties their dog to a tree because they don't know what else to do are evil. It's not that simple. And so that's something I'm proud of with these stories. And the story of Frida is going to allow me to touch on that a little bit. Is I want to give a different view on rescue and rescue stories. I'm not about there's evil people that hurt animals and there's rescuers that save them. I'm more like, the lines are blurred. It's not that simple. And it's actually fascinating.
Can you tell us a little bit about why are you featuring Frida as one of your Kickstarter pledges?
Oh, yeah. There's a special, print that I'm a part of the pledges. First, because her crown is very unique. It's inspired by her life in Mexico and her journey when she came, in the middle of the winter to New York. What a shock for her. And Frida, she's my special one. Like I said, she really touched my soul in very, very deep ways. She's beautiful. And I wanted her to have a special place in the book because she was probably going to be my last flower model before the book is finalized. And so she's going to have a central place in the book. And I wanted her to have like a special pledge level on the Kickstarter. So for $500, people can get a signed copy of the book, their name listed in the book as a special supporter, and the 16 by 16 inches fine art print of her portrait. Which I love.
Frida absolutely looks like a queen.
Yeah, I moved away from flowers a little bit. I've made a few crowns over the years that didn't use flowers. And for her, it's a mix of pom-poms and crystals and, a lot of different elements. I'm moving away from the flowers a little bit, and it's been fun. So creatively, I really enjoyed making her crown. But I also wanted it to be very special. I'm really excited about this portrait.
If you had that magic wand and you could change something about animal rescue, what do you think you would do?
I think what I would change is the fact that we need so much rescuing If I could change, if I could just make sure, pets are not treated as commodity in our culture, meaning it's so easy to get them and it's so easy to move on and leave them on the side. Meaning abandoning them or surrendering them to a shelter. I think if we could change that, the way we view pets, and responsibilize people a little bit more, maybe we wouldn't need so much rescuing. And so for me, it's always, how do we go back to the source of the issue? Just like I did with pit bulls, the source of the issue, why so many of them are euthanized in shelters, is because people are afraid of them because of that super negative image they've been dragging for decades. And so if I go to that source and if I change that image, the trickling effect of that, it can be so amazing. So for me, it's always, go to the source and let's fix that. And there are some organizations that do amazing work in communities to help people keep their pets. And I think we need to support these organizations even more. But, it's not as glamorous. I mean, when you share a story of you rescued a broken dog and got them a new adoptive family, that's a powerful story to tell. But to say, hey, we just helped this person keep their cat, by providing free vet care or food or just supporting them when they were ill or they had to move. It's not as a sexy story, unfortunately. So it's hard, for people to get vested, but it's the key. It's the key.
Yeah. But it goes back to your own journey as an artist, right? In the sense that you have to be confident in what you are trying to do. You can't be so worried about, how popular something might end up on social media, right? It's as you said, like a spay neuter program is never going to get millions of likes on Facebook. Unfortunately, it's always more the really sad stories. So
yeah, unfortunately, it's not just about social media exposure. That comes with funding. It's easier to raise funds for a particular dog or a particular rescue story than it is for, to fund a spay and neuter clinic. It's the engagement you get on social media is one thing, but all that leads to donations and to be able to support organizations like that. And so how do they make spay and neuter clinics sexy? Basically, that's something I'd like to do at some point, a project to make those sexy and to help them get more funding. Because ultimately, I mean, that's the only way we're going to get out of that horrible vicious circle that we're stuck in. I mean, at least in a lot of communities, a lot of low-income communities don't have access to vetting. So they can't afford spay and neutering, and it just, everything goes hand in hand, right. I think. And we need to support this type of nonprofits and organizations a little bit more than we do. Okay. So how do we tell their stories in a sexy way? Right.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. We're speaking to artist Sophie Gamand, the person behind Pitbull Flower Power. She just launched a very successful Kickstarter. There's still several more weeks to go, so you can get your own copy of a book, signed copy of a book, and other artwork. Tell us a little bit about when's your next showing for Pitbull Flower Power.
I'm actually really excited. I have an art fair coming up in New York City. It opens on May 2nd, and it will run until May 6th. And it's an amazing art fair. There's going to be painters and sculptors and photographers and all sorts of artists, mostly, up and coming artists. And the idea of the fair is to offer affordable art. It's called Superfine, Superfine. So I don't know if my pronunciation helps here. Superfine. And the website is superfine.world. And it's going to be amazing. I've seen it the years prior, and it was fantastic. I actually bought myself a couple of art pieces because you can find art for, a couple of $100s to a few $1,000s. It's amazing for all kinds of budgets. So I'll be showing some Pitbull Flower Power prints there, and I'm super, super excited because I always love showing the prints and, being able to talk about the project to the art world as opposed to the rescue community, because you guys already know about it. But, I want to touch people that might not be aware of it. And so when I go to art exhibits like this, I'm able to talk to people who have no idea, about the fate of pit bulls in shelters and how many dogs are languishing in shelters. They don't know. So it's awesome to be able to talk about it.
Floor is yours. Anything else that we haven't discussed that you'd like to share?
Oh, don't get me started. We'll be here tomorrow still. You know me. I talk a lot. I know. I'm excited to, focus on the book for now. And, I have to write all these stories and decide on which images are going to go in the book and design. That's exciting phase of the project. It will be out in October. So until October, I'm probably going to be full on this project. And after that, I'm actually super excited to start a new project I've been gearing up towards for the past few months. So I can't say much about it because obviously I don't want to jinx it, but it will still involve shelter dogs, but in a very interesting twist. So stay tuned for that. And maybe you and I can chat about this project in a year from now.
Well, good luck as you put the book together. I'm sure it'll be not only a fabulous launch, but if you do launch in October, I mean, that's just in time for the holiday season. I'm sure. My hope would be is that you're going to sell out really fast and demand will require a second reprint.
Second print, yeah. That's the beauty of Kickstarter. We'll know how many copies are pre-sold, and so we can adjust and decide how many more we can print given the money we have left over. So I'm hoping for a reprint immediately, and we'll have a book launch party and book signing event in New York, probably towards the end of October 2018. And after that, I'm hoping to come to you guys and just travel a little bit around the country and have a couple of pop-up events and book signings. So yeah, the book will be available after that, most probably.
We just want to thank Sophie Gamand for sharing her story and for taking a big risk in the next step of her Pitbull flower power journey. We look forward to some beautiful books in October of 2018. If you want to learn more about today's episode, go to our show notes at thisispawprint.com/161. All the music you hear on Pawprint is produced, composed, and performed by the talented Luke Gartner Brereton. Find him at info.vanillagroovemedia.com. If you want to listen to more episodes of Pawprint, you can find us on your favorite podcast app, such as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. Search for Pawprint Animal Rescue and make sure to hit the subscribe button to get the latest episodes immediately. You can also find us on social media, especially Facebook and Instagram. Look for This Is Pawprint, all one word. Join us next time for an episode with Dr. Danielle Boyd and her famous dog, a pup named Squish. They just surpassed 100,000 followers on Instagram in just a few months, and you won't believe the story about how Squish and Dr. Danielle Boyd met. So tune in next time. And remember, you share a positive message of love and peace by saving an animal. Have a great day, everyone, and see you next time on Pawprint.
Pawprint is a production of EVER Education.
You can't handle the truth.